Welcome to People First Builders, celebrating leaders in construction who build success through their people. My name is Fletcher Wimbush, your host. I'm the CEO of Discover.ai, a performance hiring software helping small and mid-sized AEC companies solve their hardest problem, people. We help people first leaders install and execute repeatable talent acquisition systems that drive business results by hiring top performers, lowering turnover, and building world-class company cultures. Stick around to the end and you can learn more about how to become a guest on our podcast and share your story with the world. Welcome to the People First Builders podcast. My name is Fletcher Wimbush. I'm your host. Today, I've got Chad Prinkey. Chad is the founder and CEO of the Well-Built Construction Consulting firm. He is the author of the Well-Built, How the Top 2% of Contractors Create Superior Value in Profits and Excellence. The host of the Morning Huddle Construction Show. Chad speaks prolifically to construction leaders and construction associations. He's both got a hands-on and extensive experience working with construction firms and helping them scale their small and mid-sized commercial construction businesses. Chad, I'm really glad to have you back. We don't have to tell everybody about what happened last time, but welcome.
Thanks, Fletcher. I appreciate it, buddy. Hey, I love a round two where the audience thinks it's a round one.
Exactly. We're just going to pretend, but we're kind of throwing it out there for you guys. But last time we had such a fun conversation talking about estimators, right?
We did.
And we're going to do round two. Now you're prepared. We warmed up. We both warmed up. We have our creative juices going. And I've really continued to think about this thing, and I had some takeaways too. So I took the ideas that we talked about, and I started sharing some of those about like how do we. Well, first off, let's tee it up for folks. I think anybody who's running, a decent sized growing commercial contracting business, like they all start. I think the owner is the chief estimator, right? And if the owner never takes that hat off, it's, I think, nearly impossible to scale, right?
Agreed. Completely agreed.
I mean, that job is just too big and too hard in order.
As you grow, yeah.
So at first you are, but at some point, if you're going to really scale this business, you got to take that hat off. Okay, so how do you do that? Because there aren't any of these people out there to hire, right?
Yeah.
So that's the dilemma. So, okay.
Yeah. And the question had really started with like, so, where do you get these guys? And to me, there's two answers. The first answer is almost always the right answer, which is you grow them.
Yeah.
And the second answer is sometimes you can steal them. Sometimes you can take them from your competition. And I've seen that go extremely well. I have. It's just hard to pull off.
Yeah.
And frankly, quite expensive, to pull off, which is not always in the wheelhouse for the small scaling contractor to bite off a big fat salary for somebody right out of the gate. So
depending on whether you are in your journey, and even if you're relatively mature, it's still expensive, and risky potentially too. Okay, so we got two paths, and those are the paths basically. So, well, the third one is keep doing it yourself, but you're never going to be able to grow this business.
So that path just means you don't grow, which is an okay decision too. Maybe it just means that at some point you'll want to retire and the business will close.
Yeah, fair enough, right? I mean, it is an option, right? Okay, so both paths are fraught with some challenges, and they both take some time. So the first one, grow them yourself. We broke this down. Let's break this down a little bit. So you could hire somebody pretty young and inexperienced, like say out of college with an engineering degree or a construction management degree. Do you have a preference on either of those?
Oh man, what a good question. For an estimator, engineering. I'd prefer engineering. For a PM, I could go either way. And for somebody who's going to lead, a superintendent, again, if you're hiring out of college, I'd probably prefer construction management.
Yeah. And you're definitely assessing them for their people and leadership skills and their EQ as much as their IQ in that scenario. But an estimator, we need EQ there, but it is a very technical job, right?
Super.
Yeah.
Super technical.
So if they come out of an engineering track and that kid doesn't decide to go into the manufacturing space or the consulting engineering path, then coming into my construction firm, that's like probably got the right kind of skill set and education and probably smart. If they made it through that program, they're probably smart enough to be able to learn how to do this job of being our kind of estimator on our team, right? Okay, so that's one thing to look out for. But when you hire this kid, and whether they come out with an engineering degree or not, or however they come out, this is not going to be an overnight success for you, right? So what should people prepare for in terms of a timeline until they can really truly hand that hat off to this new kid?
Yeah, if you're going to hand it off to a kid out of school, I would put a timeline on it. Fast track 3 years, probably more commonly 5 years, to actually hand the hat all the way off. And you know what? I want to explore that for one quick moment, which is estimating is different from pricing strategy. Yeah. And I talk about this in my book where pricing strategy is an executive function. And I think the technical function, the detail of getting your costs right, is the thing that you could fast track and get that hat all the way off in 3 years with a kid out of school that's got the right head on their shoulders, where you're putting in a lot of mentoring, training, coaching time with that individual. But I still probably would not have that individual develop my price. My cost and my price are two different things. And frankly, I may never give up the pricing strategy component as the owner. That is, again, it's an executive function. And it depends on how big you get. Yeah. If you're a $200-300 million general contractor, at that point, you can't be setting the price on every single thing. But if you're 30 million, 40 million, 60 million, you probably can touch every estimate that's going out the door. Yeah. Evaluate the cost, evaluate the market, evaluate the client, figure out what you think you can do, set your general conditions, set your fee, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. You can be the driver of your price, which is a different thing than cost.
Yeah. And so that's a really good differentiator there. And I think we have to think about that, because having that person come in and be able to sort of understand the cost of this project and help me understand as the leader of the business what this project's going to entail, and do that really well in a detailed way, so that I am now well informed of what's going on there. Now I can go and make those pricing decisions and make decisions about how aggressive we want to be, or how we're going to approach the client, or understand the project better. I can still be that face of the sales side of it, right?
Yeah, that's well said too. It's the difference between an estimating function and a sales function. And don't necessarily take off your sales hat because, as we talked about with EQ and all those types of things, right? Like, the estimator may be extremely technical, excellent with identifying costs and really driving this thing down to what it's going to take to build a job, but not be great at selling. Mm-hmm. So that may be a hat that you keep on, but in terms of time, my amount of time spent selling versus estimating is dramatically smaller. Yeah. On individual project pursuits. We're talking about maybe 4 hours or 6 hours in sales time, in contrast with dozens of hours in estimating time.
So this kid or this young person may never fill that sales role potentially, or might take even a lot longer than 3, 5, maybe even 10 years.
That's right.
Because they're going to have to also bring a level of that EQ, and not only EQ, but the relationships take time to develop too. Yep. Right.
Yep. So and early on, you want the majority of their relationship time focused on the subcontracting community, not so much on your client.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a journey that they're going to have to go through, even if they come with the core skill sets. Like, it's just not something that is going to happen all that fast naturally. Okay, so that's a good way to think about it. They may end up in a forever technical position though too, and that you as the owner or leader are forever going to be in that sales role. So
or you're going to hire a business developer business development executive or something along those lines, or you're going to train your operations staff, your project
PMs.
leaders to be your salespeople. There's a bunch of different ways to skin the cat. That person doesn't have to have a sales hat or a business development hat or a pricing strategy hat. But what they absolutely have to have if you're going to scale your business is the estimating workload and that costing hat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing that's going to save you hundreds of hours, right? And allow you to focus strategically on your business.
That's right.
What about outsourcing? I mean, you see these outsourcing estimation shops, right? How do you feel about that, particularly in the commercial contracting space?
Okay. So it's a great question. I know several companies that are using those services successfully.
Okay.
And what I have found is that they're more offshoring than outsourcing. There's the flat out. So okay, before I get too far ahead of myself, I don't know any general contractors that are using that function, to be clear, because to me, the general contracting estimating environment has so much to do with knowing the qualified subcontractors in your market, having relationships with these folks, having the ability to pick up the phone, scope people out, make sure that you scope them up and get them correct and level your bids and all those different types of things. That is just heavy on communication, heavy on relationship. And if you don't have the relationships, you're going to get numbers, but they're not going to be good enough to win.
Yeah.
And you're going to be spinning your wheels. So I don't know any generals that are successfully outsourcing or even offshoring their estimating functions. But I do know some trade contractors that are doing that successfully, particularly outsourcing or offshoring takeoffs.
Yeah.
And
material bids, that's much easier to get pricing, less relationship driven, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I would still argue that even if you're going to outsource or if you're going to offshore, that there should be leadership on your team, and maybe that's you as the owner, but there's still leadership on your team for like calling your suppliers and reaching out to folks and negotiating and work, because they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that function for you. And that, as so many contractors know, is the difference between winning and losing, and having estimating as an overhead function or estimating as a revenue generating function in your business, right? So I would be cautious, but I have seen some very successful examples, particularly of offshoring, of sort of saying like, look, there are really, really smart people in developing economies who have all the tools and mentality needed to do this stuff. And I can, pay them at the top of the market in the country that they're in and be dramatically less expensive than in my country. But we're talking about in every case that I am aware of, I'm talking about trade contractors, not the general contractors, where I really do believe they have to be pretty immersed in your community of subs.
Yeah. So, and you made an interesting point. You caught yourself there. It's like, well, outsourcing versus offshoring, but all these outsourcing companies, all they're doing is simply helping you find somebody and maybe providing some payroll-like services support to that relationship. They're really not like truly owning that function for you.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
They call it outsourcing, but you're really just building a relationship with one or a handful of talented people, hopefully. So I always put a word of caution in there. When you use these companies, you need to vet that talent just like you would any other hire.
Agreed.
Right? Because they're not, these companies, yes, they will replace them, but that's painful, and it's a lot of time and energy lost trying to get somebody to work in your team and they're not very good, or they don't work out, or they quit, And the other piece, word of caution, if you go that route, is treat those people like a member of your team. Like,
manage them.
Yeah, you got to manage them, pay attention to them, communicate with them, not just like send them emails in the middle of the night, demanding things from them, right? Like you wouldn't do that to somebody here in the US, right? I mean, you would maybe once you get to know them a little bit, but
Yeah.
but you got to build some rapport, right?
Yeah, there's opportunity there. You shouldn't completely ignore it, but you should definitely approach with caution, and you should absolutely own definitely the pricing component and
The relationship part.
relationship component.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so now that brings us to the experienced talent. So how do you get a tried, true, proven, commercial estimator out of the hands of your competitor inside your building?
So, there are a lot of estimators who are not actively looking for a job, who are working in a business that they are not in love with, but they're so damn busy. And I found, speaking about their kind of personality profile, they're not, they tend not to be job hoppers. They tend to be steady people. They tend to be people
conscientious types.
Yeah. Yes. If you're familiar with the DISC model C's, right? Yeah. They tend to be people who are steady, who prefer routine, who kind of like their world and their environment, and they don't like a lot. So they're not shopping, and they're so damn busy that they don't really have time to shop. But if you really had them focused and you could dig in and find out if they were happy, you would often find that they have some fairly legitimate gripes. And I find that those gripes come in a handful of flavors. Number one, the easy one, which is they're undercompensated for the amount of effort that they feel they put in. And this is a really top-notch estimator, a senior estimator, a lead estimator. Yeah. This should be one of the highest paid roles in your company.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, right? I mean, they are your chief revenue generator for all intents and purposes, right?
Yes. So that's one. And you may find that they are not satisfied with their compensation package. Number two is that they don't feel that they have input. And I see this really often. They don't feel that they have enough input into the award.
Yeah.
And so all these subcontractor relationships that they have to work and cultivate and make sure that they get responsive bids and make sure they get complete bids and make sure that they get lots of value engineering and strategy and all these different types of things. The subcontractors are not going to continue to provide that to you if they don't get the love in the form of the job being awarded to them. And there are a lot of estimators who are completely divorced from the award.
Yeah.
And so they're asking for all these favors and they're trying to, get and get the help that they need. And then at the end of the day are, having to break the terrible news that, my ops staff gave it to somebody. I don't know who they gave it to, but it ain't you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really important piece of this, right? I mean, those relationships take so much time to develop. Now, that's also the benefit of capturing one of these people from another firm, right?
That's right.
Often can bring those relationships with them.
That's right.
And there's a big difference between the low price leader and the person who just gets the job done on time and on budget or under budget, right? Like, those relationships go a long ways, and burning a bridge with a partner, a subcontractor who is just reliable and amazing, even if they're a little more high price, at the end of the day, saves you so much money and time and adds so much to the bottom line, because nothing is more expensive in this business than being late.
Yep, we agree, sir. So that's the second reason, and there's a lot of dissatisfaction about that, man. Hey, my point of
PMs
view
are they're going a different direction from what we use in the estimate here, or the direction the estimator sent us down. You seeing that a lot?
Oh yeah, I see it all the time, and I see that more often than not. It's really just a lack of internal communication.
Yeah.
So
they're not doing it on purpose.
Usually it is not,
Malicious.
yeah, usually it's not malicious. Usually it's not really coming from that place. Sometimes it is. Sometimes they're like, that's just the estimating department. They don't have to actually run the work. We have to actually run the work. So we need to put the guys out here that we want to work with, in our relationship. So there's validity across the board, and the right way to structure it, just a little side note, the right way to structure it, in my mind, is that you have a fantastic feedback loop about subcontractor performance from project management and the field, up in through the organization, that information gets communicated to the estimator, that the estimating team has the ability to look at that and say, okay, XYZ contracting is not getting it done when we award the job to them. We really need to expand and look to other avenues, and allow the estimating team to drive the relationship, allow the estimating team to influence the purchasing process, if not control it, but at least influence the purchasing process, so where it's a collaborative decision, a real collaborative decision.
Yeah.
And that unless there is some compelling reason that we cannot go with the most responsive, the most interested, the most committed trade contractors in their particular trades, that we lean toward whoever helped us get to the dance.
Yeah. Yeah. So it goes both ways. I mean, the PMs have a dog in this fight, the estimators do as well. And I guess from an estimator's perspective, well, from a leadership perspective, I mean, if the estimator's missing the boat on like only trying to drive for the hardest, lowest price and not thinking about, because I mean, look, if those guys are 10% higher, that might be okay. Like, again, getting the job done on time and on budget means a whole lot more than you gave me a low price.
Agreed.
Or estimated me a low price.
And this is why I talk about all these different aspects of not just, the most aggressive price, but the most responsive, the most interested, the most helpful, the contractors that really helped us, like I say, get to the dance. What I mean by that is, and it all depends on project delivery method and contract type and things like that as to how these pursuits are conducted. But certainly, to your point, agreed completely. It should not be the estimator saying, well, XYZ was low, you should use XYZ. That is not a compelling reason to use XYZ company, if we don't have to.
Yeah, but it could be like, hey, last time we used those electricians, the project went okay, but we had some challenges for these reasons. And, I got these new guys and they really helped me value engineer this quote.
Correct.
And they've been very collaborative in getting us to a full, complete, project estimate. And they've also offered some really great insight on the plans that we're trying to develop here. Would you give them a chance this time? Right.
That's right. Can we negotiate it with them from here?
Yeah.
Right. Can we negotiate it with them from here? And can we work it out with these guys? Can we steer the work, to these guys, and just making sure that the estimators have a voice? Okay.
Yeah.
So getting back to your question, which is like, how do I attract them away? You've got to get them into conversations where you're going to uncover these possible issues.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to uncover these possible issues. So you've got to actually put yourself in that position. They're not going to come to you. You got to go to them.
Sometimes, in sales tactics are like throw out the possible pain points, like pick up the phone, call somebody like, hey, do you find that wondering if maybe you're properly compensated, or if, or have you run into scenarios where you feel like your voice is not being heard in this and it's creating more work for you in your job. And that's getting kind of old and frustrating because you're already working like a dog, like, so you sort of throw out the pain point and see if they bite a little bit, right?
Yeah. And by the way, the third bucket, which I'm sorry I left out, the third, if the first is comp and the second is their voice in the process, the third is we're just a bid factory. We're cranking out estimates. The workload is ridiculous and our hit rate is low.
Yeah. Because you could just offshore that.
Right.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah. So if I'm operating in that environment, I'm a professional estimator and I know my stuff, and I pride myself in my relationships and that kind of stuff. It's very frustrating and even embarrassing to continually work the network, get all the number, blah blah blah, and be like, man, we're 0 for 30
Yeah.
And that is that's another reason that we should, that we might run across an estimator that's just feeling burnt out and frustrated in those roles. So back to your point, yes, floating these possible challenges is a way to potentially get a bite on the hook. But I find that, you know what? Oftentimes it's just a simple outreach. Hey, Fletcher, my name's Chad Prinkey. I own XYZ Construction.
Yeah.
I don't know you. You don't know me, but I've heard about you in the market. I've heard really positive things. I wonder if you and I might grab a cup of coffee sometime and just get to know each other. I have no idea where that conversation may lead. That's going to be a much more likely forum for you to be able to have constructive pain related discussions, to use your term, and identify, possible needs for improvement that you can then surface and turn into a recruiting opportunity.
Yeah. And that's what I see, because these guys are getting hit up by recruiters nonstop. So they get burned by a few of those conversations. Oh, I wasted my time talking to that recruiter. I wasted my time talking to that recruiter. That person doesn't even know what they're talking about. And when the boss, the owner, the CEO, or the executive comes directly and says, "Hey, we're both in the same space. I'd love to just network with you, chat. Can I take you out for breakfast or lunch?" And that goes a long ways. And no, you're not going to hit every single time you do that. It's about a 30% hit rate, by the way. So
I think that's right.
So you reach out to 10 of them, 2 or 3 of them are probably going to be like, "Oh, I'd be open to that." Right. And you might not land them in that breakfast or lunch today, but if you continue to maintain that relationship over a period of time, in 6 months, 9 months, 24 months, you will land them.
That's right.
And that's like landing millions of dollars.
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly, sir.
If you done it right.
So, boy, that seems like it's worth the energy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like an effort that's worth undertaking. Now, if you hire the kid out of school, you're going to pay him something in the 5 figures, the high 5 figures, but you're going to pay them something in the 5 figures, and they're going to grow with you, and you're going to groom them up. And if you're in an earlier stage, that may be the way that you want to play it. If you're a more advanced business, a more mature business, and you have the overhead capacity to bring somebody in solidly in the 6-figure range, this becomes a more viable option.
Yeah, you're not winning as many bids as you should. You have the opportunity and capacity to grow, and you're willing to put the money and the time and the energy to grow your business. Then go out and find an experienced estimator, because they're literally going to make you money pretty much right away, and for that investment, right? Because they're going to help you win more bids. They're going to bring more opportunities to the table, because they're going to bring those relationships to the table that are going to bring new opportunities to the table. And those are the things I'd be vetting them for when I write them that big fat paycheck. Like, if they're not doing those things, don't write the paycheck.
That's right.
But
when I've seen it, man, when you bring in the right guy, it is completely world changing. I mean, one general contractor client of ours was $30 million 3 years ago. Added an absolute industry stud, expert senior estimator, paid a very healthy price tag for him. And he's come in over 3 years, they've grown to over 90 million, and all really good, profitable work, right in their sweet spot. And so
one person worth 60 million.
Yep. Yeah.
Top line,
and he's paid appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah. He better be.
Yeah.
Lots of vacations and lots of, back rubs, and, you got to be the favorite guy in the office, right?
That's right. Well, and then, by the way, that guy has a junior guy under him who's learning from a master, which is amazing.
Yeah. And that's definitely an important piece, is make the investment in the junior. When you have that senior person, make the investments in the junior, so that you're not, should you lose your top guy, or again, as your business grows, you're already developing them. And hopefully, you got a great master developing a young Padawan, they're going to be great someday too, right?
That's right.
And take good care of those Padawans too, because if they feel neglected, they will exit to your competitors, and
those are the most jump. Those are the ones that are looking. Those are the ones that are looking. Yeah.
Well, they're in demand because they're getting hit up by recruiters too. So all day long. So again, you got to take good care of them as well. If they're good. If not, you should find another one sooner rather than later. I mean, and I say that half jokingly, because we put up with those people for too long sometimes. Right.
Totally agree.
Okay, I know we're kind of out of time here, but
Yeah, man.
Chad, this was awesome. There are a bunch of nuggets in this conversation. So follow his advice. You could maybe make $60 million, if you just start tackling some of these strategies here. How can people find you? Best place?
So go to our website, wellbuiltconsulting.com, wellbuiltconsulting.com. You can check out the book, which is, as you mentioned at the beginning, it's called Well Built, How the Top 2% of Contractors Drive Superior Profits, Value, and Excellence. And that's on Amazon, and appreciate anybody's support and reviews and all that kind of stuff on that front. And check out our podcast. Come to the morninghuddleconstructionshow.com and check that out.
Awesome. And all that will be in the show notes and all the social posts that are going to go out. And we'll be sharing this with everybody here on an ongoing basis. So Chad, thank you for being here.
No, I appreciate you, Fletcher. Have a good day.
Thank you so much for listening to our People First Builders podcast. If you're a successful construction CEO and would like to tell your story on this program, please visit our podcast homepage, FletcherWimbush.com/peoplefirstbuilders, or check it out in the notes below. If you got something out of this interview and would like to share the episode on the socials, we always appreciate that. Just take a quick screenshot with your phone, text it to a friend, or post it to the socials. If you know someone who might be a great guest, tag them on social and let them know. And don't forget, #PeopleFirstBuilders. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We're regularly putting out new content. To make sure that you don't miss out on any episodes, go ahead and hit subscribe on your favorite podcast channel. Your thumbs up and ratings and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Go to our website, FletcherWimbush.com, or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.